Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to the Artful Gourmet podcast. Today's episode is one that sits really close to my heart, not just because of the story or the memories it brings up, but because of the deeper meaning behind the phrase we all know so well, there's no place like home. You know, that line has lived in our cultural memory for generations, ever since Dorothy clicked her heels together in The Wizard of Oz and whispered it with every bit of hope in her heart. What I love about that moment, and what becomes even more powerful when you hear Diana Ross sing Home in The Wiz, is that the idea of home is so much bigger than a destination. It's not just a town or a house or a front porch. It's a feeling, it's belonging, and it's the love that overflows in the places and people that shape us. I actually just watched The Wizard of Oz the other night on Thanksgiving night because we used to do that when I was a kid. All my cousins in Buffalo, my aunts and uncles, mom and dad, my sisters, everybody, we would sit around and watch this movie. And it was magical. And we were all together. And even though I wasn't actually home, we were home because we were with family. And that's what means the most. And you know what? This year, I actually didn't get to go home because I'm going home for Christmas and have been away a lot over the past few months and weeks, visiting other places. So I wanted to do a story for you guys, actually, an episode that I wrote on my blog. So settle in, grab something warm and comforting, and let's take a journey together back to the memories, the flavors, the feelings, and the love that remind us home isn't just a place, it's something we create. So that song, Home in the Wiz, I actually sang that in show choir about 30 years ago when I was in high school. We did a mini musical theater performance, and I was the lead, Dorothy, in that show. And I sang that song, Home. And I want to just sing a couple lyrics for you guys because I love that song so much. It's actually a modern take on The Wizard of Oz. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Broadway show, The Wiz. I'll post a link to the song that you can watch on YouTube. And actually, you can watch the whole show, the Broadway play, I believe, or movie on YouTube as well. So the song goes like this. I'll just sing the first lyrics. When I think of home, I think of a place where there is love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. In that song, Dorothy and Diana Ross, they weren't just trying to get back to Kansas. Dorothy was trying to get back to herself, to the people who loved her, to the place where her heart felt grounded and whole. And that's what I want to explore with you today. The way home shows up in our lives, even when we're far away from where we grew up. The way we build home inside ourselves through love, gratitude, memories, and rituals. And how sometimes something as simple as a familiar recipe can bring us right back to the warmth that we've been craving. And that's exactly what happened to me. In today's episode, I'm sharing my personal story, the heart behind There's No Place Like Home, and how a moment of homesickness, a cold, freezing winter day in New York City, and a craving for comfort led me to create one of my most loved recipes on my blog, my award-winning, amazing homemade macaroni and cheese. You know the one I posted the other day, the one with the mascarpone, the fontina, the Gruyere, the golden, crunchy garlic panko topping. This recipe wrapped me in warmth when I needed it the most. And this is the dish that took me back to my childhood kitchen and cozy Sunday dinners with my family, one creamy bite at a time. Along with that story, I'm also going to be reading my essay titled There's No Place Like Home, where I reflect on what home means, how it evolves, and how we carry it with us no matter where life takes us. So, because it's Thanksgiving weekend, I know it's already come and gone, but I wanted to share this recipe and essay and talk to you guys a little bit about the concept of home and how it's just not a physical place, but it's a feeling. It's all the memories, your family, your friends, and everything that makes you feel cozy and comfortable, all those memories. And that's what this recipe did, was it transported me back home on a cold, freezing winter day when I needed it the most. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, read the essay to you guys. I'll talk about the recipe and then send you guys a link, which you'll see at the bottom of the podcast, where you can download the recipe and the story so you can make it at home yourself. So before I share the recipe that sparked this whole moment of reflection, I want to read you guys something I wrote, a little piece straight from my heart called There's No Place Like Home. It's an essay I wrote about memory, belonging, and the way simple, familiar comfort brings us back to ourselves. This is an essay that I submitted along with my amazing macaroni and cheese recipe a long time ago, back in 2011. And it was a recipe contest for Challenge Butter and Good Cook. I found out months later, I forgot that I had even submitted it, that I was a grand prize winner. And they sent me a check for $2,500 and $500 worth of cooking equipment. And it was really cool because it was right in the beginning of January when I had just left my advertising job to start my business and my blog, The Artful Gourmet, which I had been doing for a while, but this was my first freelance, full on business, let's go moment. It's just a recipe that I'll cherish, and I'll never forget the moment when I wrote the story, that it was such a cold, freezing winter day, and I really just wanted some comfort and something that would take me back home to where my family was that I couldn't be with at that moment. So let's talk a little bit about There's No Place Like Home. It's a phrase that we hear often, but its meaning changes as we grow. When we're young, home is the place we return to every night, the kitchen that always smells good, the old floors that creak, the warm light slipping through the windows on a Sunday morning, snuggling up in a blanket on the couch with mom and dad watching a movie at Christmas time. But as we move into adulthood and as we travel, relocate, explore, and rebuild, home becomes something different, something softer, something deeper, and it becomes a feeling that we carry in our hearts, our memories, and in the rituals and flavors that anchor us. Sometimes home is a meal. Sometimes it's the way butter sizzles in a pan, or the sound of a spoon stirring something warm and nostalgic. Sometimes it's a dish that reminds us of who we are, where we come from, and the love that shapes us. This is why I treasure recipes, not just for their ingredients, but for their stories and for the way that they hold us and for the way that they bring us back even when we're far away. And that's what this episode is about today. Finding home in the familiar, finding home in gratitude, finding home in the dishes that we cook with love and dishes that nourish more than just our bodies, but our hearts. Now, let me tell you about the recipe that brought me home again. So now I'm going to read you guys the essay that I submitted, and I'll go into the recipe in a minute. But just to give a little background, you know that feeling when the air gets cold, the days get shorter, and suddenly you start craving something warm, creamy, and comforting. Well, that was me, completely homesick one winter in my little New York City apartment. I missed my roots. I missed familiar faces. I missed the warmth, the laughter, the Sunday dinners. So I did what I always do when I need grounding. And I went to the store and bought a bunch of cheese, really good pasta. And I went into the kitchen and I made this amazing macaroni and cheese. So let me read you guys the essay. Growing up, I always associated food with a sense of comfort, warmth, fulfillment, and stability. This is something I attribute to my mom's home cooked meals and nights around the dinner table with my family as we discuss the events of our day, bonded through sharing the heartwarming, delicious meals together. And after the meal was done, cleaned the kitchen with our mom and then watched some classic TV shows together before going to bed and getting ready for school the next day. My mom would always make pot roast with mashed potatoes and green beans, a homemade lasagna with a salad and garlic bread, grandma's beet soup with homemade Polish potato dumplings, or a savory meatloaf with mushroom gravy and mashed potatoes, and my dad's favorite, fried pork chops with grilled onions. These were all of our favorites and also heirloom recipes that were handed down from my grandparents and generations past. That was a long time ago or so, it seems, and since those days, I've lived in numerous cities and another country and still cherish enjoying good food with good people. But nothing compares to those home-cooked meals and the sense of comfort they gave me when I was young. Those days gave me a solid ground to stand on for life. One gloomy, dark day in January, I was cooped up in my tiny New York studio apartment, feeling completely miserable from the freezing cold weather and had a serious case of the winter blues. I felt an undying urge to make a home cooked meal just like mom used to make, to cheer me up and get me out of the dismal mood I couldn't seem to shake. New York City can do that too sometimes. It's one of the greatest cities in the world, but can also take you to the depths of darkness on those dark, freezing, nasty days in the middle of winter. That day, I decided to go on a quest for comfort. Something warm, something cozy, something heartwarming, and something that would fill my soul and renew my spirit. My head started spinning, and I immediately felt energized and motivated with this new task at hand. What would cheer me up and transport me back into time? After furiously searching through all of my recipes, the ones that mom gave me that I had in a binder, I found the perfect remedy to ail my blues, a big whopping batch of luscious macaroni and cheese. Not just an ordinary one, like the kind you get in a blue box with packets of dried chemical-laden cheese dust, but one that called for some delicious comfort ingredients, gourmet cheese, gourmet Italian imported pasta, and a recipe that would take this kid-friendly version and turn it into a serious pot of adult-sized comfort. I hopped into a cab to Zabar's, one of my favorite stores in New York City, on the Upper West Side with thrill and anticipation. The freezing rain was coming down sideways and beat against the windows. Once I arrived, I headed straight for the cheese department and was in my glory with their selection of international cheeses that pierce your nose as soon as you walk in the door. I picked up a creamy Italian mascarpone, some fresh grated Parmesan Reggiano, a chunk of Gruyere, and a big block of Fontina. Then I found some fresh garlic, real heavy cream, some whole milk, prime European butter, smoked thick-cut bacon, and of course, imported Italian pasta. And this was a recipe for a mean mac and cheese. I prepped my ingredients and carefully crafted my dish of gourmet deliciousness. The big pot was brimming with a melted creamy cheese concoction, and I poured the luscious ingredients into my baking dish, watching with anticipation as the warm, savory smells filled my kitchen. After an hour of waiting anxiously to savor my creation, I scooped up the bubbly goodness into a bowl, and upon tasting the first bite with its brown, crispy crust and tangy, creamy, melty cheese, was transported back to a time of comfort and bliss when I didn't have a care in the world, a simpler time and place that seemed long gone from today in my stressful, fast-paced city life. Who cares about the weather, I thought. I had arrived. I was home. And ever since then, that mac and cheese has become a ritual for me, especially around Thanksgiving, the ultimate comfort food holiday. A comfort dish that tastes like belonging. And today I'm sharing that story and the full recipe on my blog. You can find the entire recipe with photos, instructions, and a printable recipe version at theartfulgourmet.com. As we wrap up today's episode, I hope this reflection reminded you of something important. That home isn't a place you arrive at. It's something you build, nurture, and you can carry anywhere. Even if you're not home for the holidays, it doesn't matter. Home is in your heart. As I mentioned before, it's your friends, it's your family, it's your memories, it's the recipes that mom used to make. It's all the things that you make home and carry with you, no matter where you are. And whether it's a recipe that warms your heart, a memory that brings you peace, a moment of gratitude in the middle of a busy day, home is always within reach. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to explore the full story, essay, and my homemade mac and cheese recipe on my blog. You'll find the link posted below. There you'll find a printable recipe, photos, and a deeper look at the comfort that inspired it. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who could use a little warmth this week. And thank you so much for spending this cozy moment with me. I'm grateful for you guys. And I hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving and an even better weekend with your family and friends. Until next time, stay inspired, stay grateful, and remember, there's no place like home.